Since last year, we've had sent to Parliament a new pre-tertiary education bill. It's raised a number of concerns among teachers, and especially their parent bodies, the teacher union. So we have GNAT, that's the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAGRAT, the National Association of Graduate Teachers and Concerned Teachers Coalition, who have raised relevant issues about sections or portions of the bill. And ultimately, if passed into an act or law, could have what they call certain ramifications. We are here this morning to take a critical look at this, but this also is premised on a number of concerns that have been raised in various media interactions and news conferences, first in the central region by the various members of NAGRAT, NAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, and then also in the eastern region where they had that same interaction. So we decided to bring into the studio for us to have a number of these conversations. Thomas Musa is the General Secretary of NAT. He's here. We would also have some great conversations with NAGRAT's representative. Thank you for joining me in the studio.
Thank you.
But this is called the Pre-Tertiary Education Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah. And relevantly so, we're told this is going to advance education, especially at the pre-tertiary level. And for you teachers, you should be comfortable. What are some of the concerns you have with the current bill?
Yeah, thank you very much, Roland. Before I start, the teacher unions here, we have 4. We have TAIL there with us, so you mentioned the 3 without TAIL.
Okay, that's the parent union.
Yes, so
okay.
We need to include TAIL there. Now, and also let me take this opportunity to greet all the viewers and for the opportunity to clarify 1 or 2 things per the issues that are coming forward. Now, to the substantive issue, in the first place, this thing came to us as a surprise because even though we saw it in the budget, our understanding was that there will be some kind of engagement, and to our attention, it came to our attention that the bill was already in Parliament.
The pre-tertiary
education bill was already in Parliament, and we raised concerns, and I remember we even held a press conference clearly on it, and based upon that, the Interministerial Coordinating Committee invited us to access of our concerns. We met at Alisa Hotel. We laid bare all our concerns to them, and they said that we told them in the first place, the bill, we don't even have it. So they promised making the bill.
But you could have gone to Parliament. Because, for example, when I wanted the bill, I just went to Parliament and the bill was available.
That is not the issue here. Is that when stakeholders are dealing with one another, it must be done in good faith. We don't want a situation where we go and get our own document to deal with, then later somebody will tell us, look, we got it all wrong.
Is that possible? This is a legislature for the whole country.
And it could have also been better on their part, the people initiating it, than being a major stakeholder or stakeholders in education. Get us a copy of the document or copies of the document. Let us all discuss it so that we can move in the strength of one another. In fact, that is the whole essence of social dialogue and engaging in good faith. But that didn't happen. So when it came to our attention, we held a press conference. The Interministerial Coordinating Committee invited us. We started the engagement. We were committed to it. Then finally, the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Education also invited us. We went, in fact, we submitted our submission on our concerns on the bill to the Speaker and subsequently to the Education Subcommittee. We met and discussed. We met first on the 4th of February 2020, then subsequently that's February 12th. That was when some issues came up. And that issue, the chairman of the committee directed that we should go back to our mother ministry, that's the Ministry of Education, to resolve all the outstanding issues that we have regarding particular area of policies. So when you finish, we'll report same to them. And when we came back, we wrote to the Speaker, on the Right Honorable Speaker, that they should stay at the court proceedings as we engage our mother ministry to resolve all the concerns. And we are also happy that in fact the President has also added his voice to it about engaging the ministry.
And you're talking about what he said in this recent State of the Nation.
The State of the Nation's address. To come to the substantive, I mean some of the key things in the bill. Now, if you look at Section 36, Section 36 provides that in the coming into force, or when this bill becomes an act, what is going to happen is that all teachers will now be moved or be transferred to the assemblies, and then they will then become the employees of the assemblies. If you go to Section 31, it provides that the assemblies will then appoint the head of the director, in charge of education. Now here they call the person the district officer. They call him the district officer under the bill. And aside that particular one, it means that the local government will appoint the district officer in consultation with the Ghana and with the education service. We all know that consultation is not something that might happen. Then from the section 32, section 31, you come to the section 32. Section 32 provides that the district officer so appointed by the district assembly, in consultation with the education service, will appoint teachers and head teachers. Will appoint 32. Section 32.
32 basically talks about management of secondary schools.
No, section 32 of the bill. That is a new one. When we went to Parliament, they have done some corrections to it, because they gave us the one, because the current, we have a lot of them, and the subcommittee on education, they have done series of work. So they gave us the one that the work they've done on it. So if you look at section 2 of that particular one, you will observe that it is saying that when the local government service, which is the district assembly, would appoint the district officer so appointed. The district officer so appointed will appoint, or in consultation with the education service, will appoint head teachers and teachers at that particular level. When that happens, it means that the contract of service for teachers will then be done at the district level or at assembly level. It means that all the...
How is that different from the...
See, the current one is that we have a centralized system of employment. In fact, we have two key things. We have a unified condition of service and a unified teaching service. This is currently what is operating. And this has been, this system has been there as far back as 1951, or even more than that. If I will go down memory lane, based upon the question you have just asked me, around 1951, even before that, I don't want to go beyond that one. In fact, there were some kind of challenges among teachers and all those things. So the Kwame Nkrumah, under the Industrial Relations Act of 1958, brought all teachers together. And if you look the Education Act of 1961, specifically Section 3, you will realize that they created a service we call the Service Committee, where the conditions of teachers was placed or were placed under the Ministry of Education, with the Service Committee advising the minister on issues of condition of service. This was further consolidated in the year 1974 under what we call the Ghana Teaching Service, under the NRC Decree 247. And it was further consolidated, it was further strengthened in 1975 under the Ghana, which was changed to the Ghana Education Service under the NRC Decree 357. Now, in 1982, the Ghana Education Service Council was dissolved under the PNDC Law 42. Teachers fought back. The likes of Mr. Paulo Mensah and co rose up at the time, and that particular thing was restored in 1995 under the Ghana Education Service Act. And specifically, if you look at Section 4, we have it. So the current bill, what it seeks to do is not disintegrate teachers up to the district level, where out of about 272 district assemblies that we have, each of these assemblies will become employer. All of them now will become employers. It means that we are going to have 272 condition of service, scheme of service, because when you are talking about the condition of service of teachers, we have three main components. You are talking about the scheme of service, you are talking about the code of professional conduct.
How is that possible, knowing that the conditions of service are so established by the Ghana Education Service?
Yes, because...
Will then be running through the various
because sections, you see,
at the district level.
Because under the labor law, specifically Section 8 and 9, he who employs you will determine your condition of service. Because the employer, he employs you, he transfers you, he disciplines you, he can terminate your appointment.
But you do know
Good.
That the various MMDAs are just a sub-arm of the general governance body of our country.
But per this particular arrangement, I've already pointed out sections 31 and 32, and even Section 36 makes it clear that when they are transferred under the assemblies, their condition of service, specifically Section 36 says that they are not only, you are not transferring the physical human beings, but their conditions and other related matters all will be transferred under the assembly. When that happens,
I've seen that now.
So it means that you can no longer be an employer of the Ghana Education Service. That is the implication there. And aside, you see, once you cannot be an employee of the Ghana Education Service, anytime you want to move from one particular district to the other, you will have to tender in your resignation, because the other district that you are moving to, that district is not your employer. Because that particular, the new district where you want to go, they have their own scheme of service, they have their own conduct.
No, is it not true? The current system also means that there will need to be a letter that you need to receive, that there's a placement at the next area that you are interested for posting. And then also there need to be that vacancy there. And here too, there will have to be a release letter. Is that not how it works?
No, see.
The current system.
That is the current system. Under the current system, the districts will have to advertise the vacancies they have, whether in mathematics, English, the areas, the classes that are available. You then have to place the need that, look, we need this number of teachers. It goes through the region to the GES headquarters. Then based upon that, GES headquarters will then go to Ministry of Finance to seek for clearance. That, look, per this particular financial year, we need to employ these categories of people, okay, to fill the existing vacancies. So what is going to, a Ministry of Finance will then give clearance to the GES, so that the GES, then the transfers and the recruitment and all those things could be done. With this particular arrangement, each district assembly will be doing the transfers, each district assembly will be doing the recruitment, each district assembly will determine its own thing, because each district assembly will become employer of all the of teachers in that particular district, with the power to transfer, discipline you and terminate or dismiss, and dismiss you.
At what point in time did you, the teacher unions, get to have a mindset, whether it's through your own conspiracy theories, that these processes could be politicized, either now or in the future?
As I speak to you now, I have at least one petition on my table. Look, there was a teacher, let me give you the current one. There was a teacher during our strike action recently, which we declared in December 5th, and we started December 9th. A teacher was alleged to have made a statement in one of the regions. As we speak now, this...
What type of statement?
That he has made a statement that, to the effect that, accusing somebody. You let me, I want to leave the names now, because this...
So we're talking about the substance of the statement.
Yes, so that he has made, is it
a political statement he made? Or
no, that he made a statement of, I think, an insult to one of the people involved in the management of education, and that it was brought up. As we speak now, per our system, the teachers elect their leaders. And so when a moment you are transferred from the district to where you are, you can no longer hold that particular position. So what happened was that that particular person has been transferred from the region where he is now to a new region. And I can tell you, we have 4 or 5 of those cases on my table. I cite other things. So what if you look at Section 23 of the how do you call it, of the bill? Hitherto, the officers at the regional level and all those things, whenever there is an advert, it is put out there, you apply, it goes through the GES, the GES Council, the Public Services Commission.
Even for the director of a region?
Yes. Yes. Up to the director of the region. It goes through up to the Public Services Commission.
I've gone through the current bill. It says that the appointment is subject to...
No, the current, look at Section 23, the one that we had from Parliament.
Yeah,
it points to the fact that...
It says that the president...
You shall appoint.
So what is going to happen? What are your fears there?
You see,
the president shall appoint in accordance with Article 195 of the Constitution, appoint officers necessary for the proper and effective performance of the functions of the education system.
Exactly. So this one...
These are where your fears lie.
You see, this... exactly. And this particular one, you see, this one, as it stands here, it will be done at the regional coordinating council, because it's not standing alone, because the president will directly appoint people. Now,
just like, so your fears is that it could be a replica of the district assembly.
Certainly.
And you have fears that it could be subject to political abuse.
It is not that we are afraid. It is happening where, because of the winner takes all system. Why is it that people are complaining? Can you imagine in a region? Look, once the president is appointing the officers in there, what is going to happen is that, and you know, this is not something we can run away from. The president is now directly going to appoint people at the regional level. What else do you expect?
In the bill?
In the bill.
Which officers and from what level?
The regional director, and his deputies, and other officers. That is what is stated there. And can you imagine that? And this appointment will not be done directly by we all know why, because the president has the mandate. The president will put the regional minister. Most of this appointment will certainly be done by the regional coordinating council.
Is there a possibility that you have fears that somebody could be appointed who doesn't have the track record in education? It's just a political appointment.
And aside that one, it will amount to the politicization of the Ghana Education Service, and the teaching profession would be gone.
I don't understand.
What is going to happen is that, look, when the president is directly appointing the regional director, if you look at the bill, the person need not be a teacher.
It doesn't state it.
Yes.
I've gone through the bill. It doesn't state it.
Yes, the person need not be a teacher. And you cannot compel the president or compel anybody that the person that this particular function will be delegated to. You cannot compel the person. The only thing is that you need to have a regional director, have his or her deputies, and other officers. That is the position of the bill now. And currently at the GES headquarters, we have something like that.
I don't understand.
Yes, at the GES now, there are, if you look at the top
structure.
In the top structure, now, you need not be, the people who have been appointed, not all of them are teachers. Hitherto, they were all teachers.
Yeah.
But now,
if you said they are not teachers, if you mean they are not educationists?
No, they don't. They are not professional teachers.
No, wait. You are saying they are not educationists?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me give you an example.
Because being an education doesn't mean that you need to necessarily be a teacher.
Good. You see, the thing is this. Hitherto, when a service was created, to enable to get to that particular place, because it's a professional kind of body, the understanding, let's get the professionals to manage the own.
You need to have had training.
Yes,
and experience.
Exactly. But for some time now, at the GES headquarters, some of the appointments now is directly done by the president.
Like which appointment?
No, the director general. That one we don't. I mean, that one is a political appointment, and together with his or her, with the deputies, that's a political appointment.
But so far,
that's a political appointment.
Contrary to what your fears would be for now and the future, so far the appointments that have been made are people of with the caliber and the experience in education.
Please, let us be mindful here. You see, we are talking about...
We've had Alesetenyo before, we've had the current one. All of them have been at some level or had experience at some level in education.
Exactly. Currently, we are saying that, you see, I don't want, you see, it will be unfair for me to start mentioning names of people.
No, don't mention names. Good. Mention positions.
Good. I can tell you that there are people now at the GES headquarters who are not educationists, but because of the background of their training, they've been brought in there.
Wait.
Are you getting it?
Please distinguish that for me.
What I mean is, to take for example, normally...
if somebody, let's say, has an engineering certificate or
good, they can bring you there, because the thing is that...
Is that the situation you think you are experiencing now?
Yes. You could be brought there, because that is an appointment that the powers that be...
Okay. So let me ask you. Let's say somebody has experience in general administration. You can be brought to an education service to work.
Please, you are dealing with a professional body. Let me give you an example.
You mean?
Let me give you an example.
If you win human resource and general office administration,
yes, you see, if you
and being at the hierarchy is different than any other.
Exactly.
Body.
See, if you have, look, I have not done any other work since 1989. All the work I have done is teaching. And normally when you are going into the classroom, a professional teacher goes into the classroom with three main things. He looks at what we call the cognitive aspect, the affective, and the psychomotor domain. The teacher is not somebody who will just pick book and walk into the classroom, no. When the teacher is walking into the classroom, and when the teacher is writing his lesson notes, he writes his lesson note with three main things behind what he's doing.
That's not the administrator.
Good. So when the teacher knows that he's dealing with a human being, he knows that he's dealing with a human behavior. So when he is going, and he also knows that the children there, they have what you call individual differences. There are some who are slow learners, and not all of them could end up remaining in offices and all that. So we have three main things. We have what you call the affective, psychomotor, and then the cognitive domains. These three domains, a teacher will make sure each and every one of them they are touched. The reason being that we cannot expect everybody to become a doctor and all that. So please, it is very, very important for us to appreciate that when it comes to the issue of teaching, that is what we are saying, that this is an issue that we need to be mindful of and that teachers are concerned about.
Okay. We still have Mr. Thomas Musa, General Secretary for the National Association of Teachers, and on the line is Dr. Clement Appak, a Deputy Ranking Member for the Education Committee. Good morning to you, Dr. Clement Appak.
Yes, good morning, Roland. Good morning to viewers and the colleague on the other side.
Okay. Now, you are aware as a committee of the concerns that the teacher bodies are raising in relation to the bill that your committee is looking at?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, as a result of the concerns that were being raised, I remember that the committee had engaged the teacher unions on at least 2 sittings. And it came to a point where it was clear that the concerns that were raising, those were not concerns that the committee had the mandate, or if you like, was clothed with the authority to deal with. So it was then suggested by the leadership of the committee that the teacher unions would have to bring their concerns to bear on the sponsors of the bill. And it is very important to indicate that in our system of governance, and the way our parliament is structured, it is the executive that, brings bills to parliament. And that is usually done through a particular ministry, and in this case, the Ministry of Education. And so, yes, there are concerns I believe are legitimate. I know many others who believe are very legitimate at the committee level, but the committee didn't have the capacity to address them. That would have to be addressed by the sponsors of the bill. And I am aware that the teacher unions are very determined to ensure that if there is going to be such a bill, it is a bill that is not going to affect effective teaching and learning. And of course, they've raised fundamental issues around the changes that would occur with regards to the governance structure in as far as the delivery of teaching and learning is concerned.
Dr. Appak, Dr. Appak, as we continue, you look at the current state of where the bill is. For example, the president shall, in consultation, in accordance with, we know what the article is, 195 of the Constitution, appoint officers necessary for the efficient and effective performance of the functions of the education service. Now, before that, we already do have a pervasive system in which there's going to be the appointment of a director general by the president, of course, and we know these are all deferred delegations, so to speak, or delegated authority. Now, to the point that now it trickles down to the district level and subsequently to even ordinary staff, you're going to have a system where the trickle-down administration and its structure for teachers or the education sector could be subject to political abuse now in the future. Are those fears far-fetched?
No, I don't think they are. But as I told you earlier, You know, I speak as a deputy ranking member of the committee, but I'm also an individual. I have the right to form my own opinions and assess matters. I mean, in my previous endeavors in other parts of the world, I've had the privilege to be a union leader, and I understand the dynamics. And I know the nature of our Ghanaian system and how very easily we politicize everything. So these are very legitimate fears and concerns that must not be taken for granted. And I was even making the point of the structure that is being proposed in the bill, where, you know, if it is the way it is now, it is going to be the case that certain segments of the teaching population will be reporting to a different tier of our political structure or hierarchy, and another also being supervised by a different tier. All of these are, you know, serious matters that naturally should concern the teacher unions. So I don't fault the teacher union for taking the position that they have taken. But the point I seek to make is that it is only the sponsors of the bill who have the capacity to make the needed changes in consultation, in serious dialogue and consultation with the leadership of the teacher unions in the country, or, as the teacher unions have said, to withdraw the bill. As a minority in Parliament, or even as a committee, we don't have that capacity to do the things that the teacher unions believe, if done, can either salvage the situation or prevent the fears that they are anticipating.
Mm. You are an MP, and you used to be a lecturer in a public university, right?
That is correct, yes.
Great. Now, let me just run this by you. It's in the bill before your committee. Teachers employed in basic schools are, on the coming into force of this act, transferred to the local government service. The conditions of service of the staff of the education service transferred to the local government service shall not be worse than the conditions of service of staff of the education service working in analogous grades. What does it mean?
Well, these are all the issues that are drawing attention. I mean, it is not very clear. But simply put, if we are going to take it on face value, and that is why I keep referring to the sponsors of the bill, because those who sit down to craft these things, they are motivated by certain factors, they are informed by some pieces of information. Sometimes they may claim that some research has been done. They may have engaged the services of specialists and what have you. So I cannot tell you the motivation behind that, because I'm not part of the proposers of the bill. But on the face of it, and on the basis of the content that you have read, what I take that to mean, and I've read it too in print, is that it is the district assemblies who would then have supervisory authority, or, if you like, the teachers at that level, in this case, probably the basic level, would be answerable or reporting to or employed by the local government service, because they are going to be transferred, as you said. So immediately, if this were to come into being, they will be transferred. But subsequently, that would then mean that that would be how they will be recruited as well. It will be done at the local level under the auspices of the district assemblies. That is the way I understand what you just read.
Your committee, how many of you composites or compose of the committee?
Well, I think the committee, we are about 30, 35.
And what is the general consensus?
It is usually based on a formula in Parliament that allows for the majority side to have more. I think they would usually have 2/3, thereabout, and we will have about 1/3.
Let me. The committee in Parliament, are all of you experienced educationists, maybe like you, who have been lecturers and teachers, etc.? Or they pick everybody to be part?
Well, it's not necessarily so. But, you know, since I'm a first-time member of Parliament, perhaps if I quickly narrate the way I got into the committee that I belong to, that can help answer this question. But it is not the case that you have to be a professional in a particular area to be on a committee that has oversight responsibilities of that particular sector. But ideally, it is always useful, and it helps a lot when persons with the requisite experience and background are put on committees that do similar work.
Good point.
So in my case, for example, being on the education committee, you can say it's a good fit, but it's not always like that.
Okay. So that saying, and good response from you, don't you think that in the future, if this is allowed to pass, we could have a political figurehead or somebody who is a politically exposed person just appointed to sit in a capacity without the requisite experience, 2, without the ability and the experience to do so, 3, and who could also subject his position to abuse because of the appointing authority? And here it's trickling down the president and, of course, delegated, and we have it subsequently.
Yes, it's a very real possibility. I mean, you and I know, even in the current status quo, even within the context of institutions where, you know, we need professionals to man them without even creating this clear and direct opportunity for, as you said, politically exposed persons to then be put in such places whereupon they were entrenched and prioritize partisan political interests over the national interest. We see it happening already. So, I mean, we should not downplay the possibility that, you know, this is going to be the eventual outcome if the bill in its current form becomes an act of parliament. So, yes, it is a matter that should worry any of us, given the type of environment in which we operate as a nation and the fact that we are seeing these occurrences unfolding in other sectors of our system, without this clear and direct, you know, opportunity, if you like, being created to then enhance, you know, something that we all condemn, that it is not proper.
Okay, so if the teachers don't do anything about it, it will just pass through, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, very likely, because we are not the sponsors, and I speak to as a member of the minority. So we don't have the numbers in Parliament. We can raise the issues. We can debate them as much as we want. But if the sponsors of the bill refuse to address the fundamental issues that have been raised, they have the numbers, both at the committee level, they have the numbers, both in the plenary, to get it passed. And this will not be the first time that as a minority in Parliament, the NDC, we have raised concerns about issues, and yet, you know, the majority has had its way. So I would want to urge the teacher unions to seriously engage the sponsors of the bill on this matter, because by and large, the minority is powerless in addressing their concerns. We can raise them, we can debate them, but ultimately, it is those who sponsor the bill, which also is the side of the aisle that has the numbers, which is going to determine what the outcome would be.
All right. Thank you very much. Member of Parliament for Musa South, Dr. Clement Park. Solu, well, Deputy Ranking Member of the Education Committee. So it puts everything into a head. So it means that you're going to agitate, or what do you intend to do?
Oh, currently, you know, when, like I indicated earlier, at the district level, the profession there will be politicized. At the regional level, it will be politicized. As for the headquarters level, it has been done already. And when that happens, you have a professional body which will now become, which will be politicized. And let me also place on record. You see, the model that they are trying to adopt now in UK, they started with what we call they have what we call the local councils. In that local councils, they are giving grants to operate. As we speak today, they have moved on from the local councils to the school system, what we call the trust or the academy system. And in that system, the money that the state has to pay is paid directly to the school. When they were working at the local council,
So it's now become a community-based action.
Exactly. And if you look at Professor Namwa Mensah's report,
same thing practiced in the US too.
Yes. And if you look at Professor Namwa Mensah's report, that was a recommendation that was made in the 2002 report. And therefore, what the teacher unions, and today what the teachers are saying, Eastern region, they've spoken, Central region, they've spoken, and soon the rest will be speaking. What they are saying is that the politicization and the current arrangement of the bill is something that they cannot accept. And that must be placed on record.
Thank you very much. Thomas Musa is the General Secretary, the Ghana National Association of Teachers. And we also do know that this is just the beginning of many of the related concerns being expressed by the various teacher unions. And, well, as it's brewing, we'll also be talking about it. But in the meantime, we also have to tell you about the latest. We'll have some discussions or give you up-to-date information on where we are with the regional contest, the National Science and Maths Quiz. But now open defecation is also one of the topmost sanitation challenges, with an estimated 22% of the population involved in the practice. Kojo Yankson will be bringing to us the latest in relation to this discussion. Good morning to you, Kojo.
Okay, you can stay on the line, okay? I've got...
And we also do know that the United Nations Children's Fund, they have all this with Open Defecation Free Ghana campaign. And as it's moving on, we'll hand over to Kojo with the discussions.